For a long time, the United States was king of exports, but that was until China came along. China's rapid expansion has seen it become a global powerhouse with the capacity to seemingly build state-of-the-art cities overnight with a booming economy. One of the main reasons behind China's unprecedented growth is its reliance on exports. These exports have now seen them overtake the US as the planet's biggest mover of goods, despite trade wars and diplomatic tensions. What this means is that the US is no longer the economic influence it once was. The continued growth of exports means that this is a trend that's likely to continue for years to come. This means that the US sway on the world stage has been lessened and their massive economy threatens to be toppled by its Asian counterparts. Today we're going to chart how this has happened and the main factors behind China's rocket-like rise to the top of the export chart. As China is known as the world's factory, global powerhouse, as well as a prominent force in the international trade arena, known for its massive export volumes across various industries, the question needs to be asked, why and how is China able to export so much? In 2006, China first overtook the US in terms of export volume. At that point, both nations were behind Germany, but in recent years, it's the two giants that have been tussling at the top, although China has been widening its gap on the rest of the world. For example, the value of goods exported from China increased rapidly from 2020 to 2021. By 2021, China accounted for about 15% of global merchandise exports and about 6% of global service export. The leading export products of China were machinery and transport equipment, with an export value of about $1.7 trillion in 2022, and in 2023, the value of exports of China amounted to almost $3.4 trillion, which made them by far the country with the highest exports worldwide that year. The US hasn't exactly been slow when it comes to its own export growth. They recorded an export value of over $2 trillion in 2023, in second place. The main trading partners of the US are Canada, Mexico, and their rivals at the top, China. In 2022, among the products exported by the US, petroleum and coal saw the largest growth in export value at 60%. Texas and California were the top two US states ranked by value of exports in 2023, with Texas ranking first with exports valued at $444.5 billion. The rivalry between the two massive economic juggernauts is well known, especially when it comes to the trade wars introduced by President Trump during his time in office. But before then, China was making massive strides to overtake its main rival across the Pacific. China surpassed the United States as the world's second largest exporter in the middle of 2006, according to figures released by the World Trade Organization, and that was just the start. Export growth from China boomed 27% in that year, comfortably outpacing all other major trading nation. It was predicted that China would almost certainly finish above the US in the 2007 totals, and these predictions weren't wrong. They've never looked back. A report at the time reflected on the strength of China's exports and went on to say that office and telecom equipment continued to be the mainstay of Chinese export growth, but significant gains in world market shares in 2006 could be observed in traditional exports such as clothing and new products such as iron and steel. At the time, there were still tensions between China and the US, and the United States claimed that certain exports like movies were being blocked from entering the country, and US critics also accused the Chinese economy of benefiting from an undervalued currency, illegal government subsidies, unfair barriers to foreign competition, and widespread piracy in general. Looking at the dramatic transformation of China's export structure over the 15 years before China overtook the US shows some key findings as to its massive success. It's shown that the business environment in the country is relatively flexible, which lets it move in and out of different sectors quickly. In terms of the flexibility of employment, China ranked roughly the same with East Asia and the Pacific, and slightly higher than averages from other regions, including those that contain industrial countries. Also importantly, the cost of opening a business in China is 9.3% of average per capita income, compared to more than 40% on average in Latin America, East Asia, and the Pacific. If any nation wants to replicate China's success, then it's clear the export sector must be allowed to change as it grows. Next, it's clear that China's export sector takes massive advantage of China's large supply of workers and of the increasing fragmentation of production across countries, especially in Asia. The increased amount of processing trade allowed China to export increasingly sophisticated products by assembling high-quality duty-free imported input. In the process, exports of many goods have increased dramatically, leading to enhanced quality and specific skill, but not at an extra cost to the consumer, because the last thing to note with China's rapid growth is that the country's massive rise has been accompanied by falling export prices, so consumers around the world have benefited from lower prices. So on top of its industrial ecosystem and low labor costs, China has also benefited from investing in easy market access, and a streamlined digital economy. Robust market access strategies that the country uses, including the development of its digital infrastructure, the eagerness for new trade opportunities and partnerships, and networking, help to gain easy access and a broader reach towards international audiences. China's booming e-commerce sector has completely changed market access for exporters. With platforms like Alibaba, AliExpress, Pinduoduo, JD Worldwide, 1688, and Sunning, buyers can bypass traditional distribution channels by using advanced technology such as payment gateways that can help manage the payment from one country to another, thus making it easier for consumers to buy directly cheap products from China's e-commerce platforms. Although this is a positive worldwide, the next key to the country's export success is rooted in controversy. China, as opposed to the US or other Western countries, are not as thorough, shall we say, when it comes to common guidelines or regulations regarding things like child labour, involuntary labour, health and safety guidelines, minimum wage laws, and environmental waste management. Things have got better in more recent years, but there's still work to be done in this area. Another reason China has managed to overtake the US are the policies that were made to eliminate double taxations for exports, creating immunity from 0% value-added tax and any import taxes to keep production costs low, which not only creates an advantage over other exported goods, but also attracts investors that are looking for ways to produce low-cost goods. Perhaps more controversially, the country is also being accused of adjusting things when it comes to their currency. In the past, there have been accusations on whether China has been intentionally depressing or undervaluing its currency as a form of competitive edge with US-produced goods. With the yuan growing 8% against the dollar in 2018, the following year China's central bank lowered the value of the yuan to 7.0205 per dollar. This led to the price of exported goods from China being cheaper than similar exported products from their competitors. But on top of this, the supply chain itself has had to be slick to manage such a high demand for products. That's why its efficient supply chain ecosystem has been crucial to get to the top of the export charts. The country has invested heavily in infrastructure, including ports, roads, and logistics facilities. This infrastructure has allowed smooth transportation and distribution of goods, facilitating super quick and cost-effective export operations. Its ports are some of the busiest globally, handling large volumes of containers efficiently and making sure there are seamless operations to maximize supply chain efficiency. This is how China has managed to become the world's leading exporter of goods in the world. But who have they traded with to get there? Two of China's main trading partners are its neighbours, Japan and South Korea. China has done a great deal of business with the US historically as well, and continues to do so. But due to trade difficulties, as of the first half of 2023, China was no longer the top exporter of goods to the US. From January to May of that year, US imports from China fell 25% year to year. In June 2023 alone, US imports of Chinese goods dropped by $2.3 billion. Instead, Mexico has become the preferred supplier to the country that was once so dominant in world trade. China has also had significant trade relations with the EU. The EU was China's largest trading partner early in the 21st century, and China was second only to the US among the EU's trading partners. Unless anything changes dramatically over the coming years, it's likely that China will stay at the top of the export tree. Their efficiency and low costs, plus the demand for the products that China manufactures better than anyone else, means that there's no reason it'll stop its dominance anytime soon. For more videos on the most important topics from the world of economics, please subscribe to Tree's Economy. Thanks for watching.